Hello there, and welcome to this edition of Thought for the Week. We've been having a look at that remarkable incident in a Galilean village in which Jesus was involved in a mighty miracle. He turned 150 gallons of water into wine. Oh, now that's pretty remarkable, isn't it? But that's what he did because it was a social event that was very, very large. That's why he created so much wine. A Hebrew marriage went on for a whole week, and large numbers of guests were invited, and that's clear as you read through the account. But the disaster was that the wine ran out very early on. Now, whether or not the bridegroom's father had miscued on the amount of wine that he needed to give everyone what they wanted is not made clear, but whatever the reason, they ran out. And we need to understand that in the context of a Hebrew marriage in the first century, to let the guests down in that way was a terrible disaster, and a family would not recover from that very easily. It would actually be a scandal that would dog their tracks for many, many years. And that was a serious thing. But you see, the thing that made this miracle so wonderful is that Jesus had been invited to the marriage. His disciples also. Mother Mary was there. And it was as well she was, because she is the one that approached the Lord Jesus when the disaster struck, and she said, "They've run out of wine." As if to say to Jesus, "You've got to do something about this." She obviously knew her son, and she knew that he was the person to ask. Whether she anticipated that he was going to perform a miracle or not isn't made clear, but she certainly anticipated that he would do something to provide the wine. Now, Jesus was a businessman. He was the head of a company, Joseph and Sons, master builders of Galilee. And so he was not a poor man in the sense that we understand poverty. And so perhaps Mary was saying, "My dear son, can you go out and buy more wine so that the family is protected from this awful scandal?" Well, whatever she thought, she approached the right person, because the Lord Jesus responded in a simply extraordinary way. 150 gallons of wine is some miracle, isn't it? But it wasn't ordinary stuff, because as John describes it, the person who was organizing the feast, that is to say, the manager of the banquet, this was a catering company that had been engaged because of the hugeness of the affair, he was so impressed with the quality of this wine. He actually said, and it is in a way quite amusing, he said, "Look, what's going on here? Everybody puts the good wine out first, and then when people have had too much to drink and their senses are a bit befuddled, then they bring out the worst wine. But you have kept the best wine until now." He was completely bamboozled by it. He couldn't understand it at all. But you see, he was dealing with the Lord Jesus. And you can't approach the Lord Jesus in the same way that you approach any normal person, because he's the Lord of glory. And that's what's revealed in this miracle. Jesus is the Lord of glory. And in consequence of this great miracle, the disciples put their faith in him. That's what happens, isn't it, when we get glimpses of the glory of Jesus? Well, may the Lord give you a glimpse of his glory this week, so that your faith might be fanned into a flame. That's the intention. May the Lord bless you then, and goodbye for now.